9 years prison sentence just for IPTV. Now, as you guys know, things in this arena are heating up. The authorities, the companies, all of these massive organizations are really trying their best to shut down all of these operations. They're spending money, millions of dollars, legal fees, and they want to try their best to stop all of these third-party operators. Now, this breaking news that came today in Torrent Freak, we can see that 7 IPTV operators have now been sentenced to almost 9 years in prison. And we can see this particular organization, they were using this card sharing functionality. And what that basically means is normally when you pay for a subscription, depending on the country, you may be given a card to put into your device, and then through that card, that then decrypts the channels that you are legally allowed to watch. Basically, the channels that you paid for, you can then watch them with that card. Now, what these operators do, these pirate operators, is they use a single card and then share the output or share the channels to multiple end users. So with a single card, you can now downstream to many other people, giving them access to these premium channels typically at a much cheaper, reduced price. Now, the 2 leaders of this organization were given 44 months prison sentences, and the other 5 were ordered to serve between 9 and 18 months. So you can see when I say things are getting serious, so it's not about, getting a slap on the wrist or, being told off. We are talking actual prison sentences for committing these crimes. And it says here that the defendants gave up around 1 million euros of the money that they generated through this operation. Now, there does seem to be a focus here in countries around Europe for these particular IPTV suppliers, services, resellers, and many of the larger industry groups are targeting these sellers. And if you didn't know, the reason why they are very, very popular is, streaming packages or streaming services around the world are very expensive. They are definitely not cost effective. So for many people who can't afford to pay the full price, they look for cheaper alternatives. So these IPTV sellers can typically offer the same kind of subscriptions that you would pay full price for at a fraction of the cost. So you can see why they are very popular, and at the same time you can see why these big companies are not happy with these third-party resellers who are effectively selling their services at a much cheaper price illegally. And this is one of the things I asked about in my last video, that as we know, with these official cable subscriptions or accessing these official services is very expensive. But if they actually reduce their price, so let's say, for example, you could access all of your favorite TV channels for $6.99 a month, so $7, would you now happily pay the official companies $7, or again, would you look for cheaper options via third-party operators? So do leave me that comment below. Now, just scrolling down, we can see that the complaint was lodged against Coppercam, which is a supplier of this IPTV service, and again, that card sharing subscription. And we can see that a police investigation into this, stating that the pirate operations was servicing at least 15,000 customers in Spain, and 2 of those leaders have been identified and traced back to the cities of Salamanca and Zamora. So this also goes back to identity, that many of these operators, many of these people selling these illegal services, how much are they taking care of their identity? Because the first thing that the authorities look for when they try to shut down these operations is where the operation is being run from, and if they can identify the source of these operations. So really just the people at the top of the food chain who are actually running this operation, they're the ones that the authorities would want to go for and try their best to shut down. And we can see after a 2-phase operation in February and March, officers were able to seize documents and accounts information and then follow up with coordinated fields. Now, the account information is one of the other things that we regularly talk about, that if you are going to pay for this IPTV subscriptions, you really have to be careful in terms of what details you are giving, because anybody can just provide an email address and maybe then pay with cryptocurrency. But if you are somebody that's giving up all of their details, their full address, their full legal name, and then paying with PayPal or paying with a credit or debit card, pretty much all of that information is now being held by this potentially illegal IPTV operator. So you have to wonder that if there ever is a raid or if something does get shut down, your details are now going to be handed over to those authorities. And we can see that they're all detained under the suspicion of the IP related crimes, which is intellectual property, because these people do not own the rights to that media, to those channels, to those movies or TV shows. So they are illegally giving out access to that content, which is why it's deemed an infringement of intellectual property. And then the police were able to seize the computer equipment, mobile phones, and more than 10,000 euros in cash, plus 7 gold bars. So I don't know if they're using that as a method to hide their money, but yeah, 7 gold bars were also seized. And then the associated website and pirate services were closed down. So that's also another example where you know something has happened from the authorities. Maybe your favorite streaming application or maybe your favorite website to watch streaming content. If that does get taken down, you'll normally see a banner telling you that the authorities have now seized this domain, they own the website, and all data that was there is now under the control of the authorities. But it does appear that the defendants will avoid immediate custodial sentence because they actually pleaded guilty. Now we saw with the other video that I did recently that with the other case, which was for 100 million US dollars, those people did not plead guilty and they were making excuses that right now Amazon is profiteering from these IPTV boxes because anybody can open up Amazon right now, search for IPTV boxes and buy them directly from Amazon. So if that's okay for Amazon, what's the problem here? Now the difference is with these lot, they've actually pleaded guilty, and because of them pleading guilty, they are basically allowed to repay the money and hopefully then avoid prison sentence. And it looks like they have paid back most of the money that they've made with this operation. But it just shows how serious the authorities are. And in many cases, they use this as scare tactics just to show to anybody that if you are thinking about going into this line of work or into this kind of operation where you're going to be selling IPTV subscriptions or providing illegal access to premium content, you could potentially be facing prison sentences and very, very large fines. So just before you go, guys, if you don't have a VPN or you're not happy with your current VPN, IPVanish are doing a crazy promotion just for the next 2 weeks, whereby you can get total protection for all of your devices, your phones, your tablets, your Fire Sticks, your Android TVs, all devices covered at maximum speed, unlimited bandwidth, with confirmed zero data logging at just over $3 a month. So really at that price point to get all of that protection, I think it's an absolute no-brainer, and the offer is only for the next 2 weeks. So if you are interested, definitely have a look in the video description or the pinned comment. I think it's definitely worthwhile checking out. So please do leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about the future for IPTV. Are these big organizations going to win, or is third-party IPTV here to stay? Do leave me a comment below, let me know, and I'll hopefully catch up with you guys real soon. Thanks.